Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay.
Sir, today what you are going to study?
Okay. What you're saying?
Today, sir, today which aphorism we will be studying?
Aphorism. Which aphorism?
Means, sir, I am asking today on what topic we are going to have discussion.
Okay. Our class. This is the class of homeopathic philosophy. So today will basically the introductory class about what we will be going through this course, and what will be the benefits, and how this course is going to benefit you, and what will be our mode of discussion. Okay, and what are the books we will discuss, and what are the chapters we will discuss. The basic introduction we will deal today. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. We haven't yet started. Those who are joining, please wait for others to join. We haven't yet started our formal class. We will start. Those who are joining are a very warm welcome to them. We have not yet started our formal class. We are waiting for others to join. Though the recording will be available to everyone. So a very warm welcome to all of you, those who have joined. We will start our today's discussion. We will start Okay, here we are again. Sorry for disturbance. In between our classes, I used to receive too many calls. In some calls we disconnect because it is on another number, and in some call we receive the call online, and most of the calls are of patients. Okay, so let us a very warm welcome to all of you, and a very happy Doctors Day, and let us start our journey by this introductory class. Today I will tell you why I have started all this. and what you will going to gain from this. Okay, and what will be our mode of discussion, and what will be those the books or matters or study material we will follow throughout our 3 months course. Means in this 3 months course you are expecting to be graduated as a homeopath. Okay, nowadays you will see that there are many physicians who claim to be a homeopath but not practicing homeopath, or not able to earn. Those who are means honest and calling themselves homeopath but not able to earn the prestige in the society. I thought that this is because of the two things, and number one and foremost thing was that we have not revisited our philosophical understanding. What we have been told during our philosophy classes, during our BHMS classes, these were very dull to us. These homeopathic philosophy, three things are there in homeopathic philosophy. First, you have to read. Okay, first you have to read it, and this reading was an obstacle for me also, because this English, because of the English language. Next, the mode of the literature, the old English language. First, it was in English, which many of us not familiar, more familiar with that. And next, it was written in such a fashion that there was a Victorian English term. Okay, all the philosophy books were so much hard to read, even for, you can say, even for an Englishman of nowadays. Means it is almost 100 and 150 years old literature we are still following. So number one obstacle was the language, which we cannot make ourselves to study. Next was, even after studying, we cannot comprehend most of the part because of this philosophical nature. Okay, first reading, next understanding, next practical application. Because of this two obstacles, first the language obstacle and next the understanding obstacle, we are unable to apply our philosophical knowledge to clinic. Okay, that is why time to time we used to say that there is demand of bridge course. Okay, I won't practice homeopathy, I want practice allopathy, I want to practice allopathy, give some bridge course. And there are so pathetic conditions of homeopaths of our community. Homeopaths are our community, and this is a very pathetic condition throughout India, that they are forced to do some mean jobs of 10,000 per month, 15,000 per month. Why they are being forced, or why they are doing this? Because of not understanding homeopathic philosophy correctly. If anyone understand, beside from those allied knowledge, that is, we are not disrespecting those allied knowledge which we have read during our study, during our this whole BHMS curriculum, but not understanding this homeopathic philosophy are leading us going down and down. This is one reason. Other reason is of business part. That is another part. Many of the homeopaths struggle to establish their clinic. That is the other part. Two, as a physician, you have to deal as a two things: physician and a businessman. So the part of physician is weaker with us. Businessman छोड़ ही दो. Businessman बाद में आता है. First, you have to be a physician, a homeopathic physician. Okay. Remember that in society, they need you as a homeopath. Okay, not as a cardiologist. Homeopathy is your specialty. Okay, homeopathy is your specialty. Like cardiologist, gynecologist, like rheumatologist, they are specialists, special doctors, and you are also a special doctor. If the patient have not been helped by them, by specialists, you will get ample number of cases in your clinical practice where those patients are coming who are not being helped by those specialists. And again, if you, out of your zeal of your allied knowledge, you started to behave as a cardiologist, a gynecologist, patient will not stick to you. Patient will not stand with you. Patient need your help as a homeopath. This thing you should remember. This thing is for and to be a special homeopath, you need to understand homeopathic philosophy. Why there is necessity of understanding the philosophy of disease in homeopathy. Why there is necessity of understanding the philosophy of cure in homeopathy. Let me give you an example. Okay, how I am using philosophy in my daily life, in my daily practice. Okay, you must have heard that this many often I am giving this example to many of my students, that if a patient, you told that my medicine is not working, but there is a philosophy when the indicated medicine is not working, what to do? Search out the obstacle. If your indicated medicine, you are telling that my medicine is not working in acute diseases, I am totally frustrated, whole symptoms of brainia is present, what we have read in our text, whole symptoms of brainia is present and brainia is not working, whole symptoms of Rux is present and Rux is not working, and out of frustration you will tell that homeopathy is not working. But remember, this acute, when there is a philosophy behind, when your medicine is not working, what to do? Okay, am I audible to all of you? Am I audible to all of you? If you are not getting me, please remind me. Okay, if you are not getting me, please remind me. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So this is the necessity of knowing homeopathic philosophy in our daily life. Okay. So now, where is the obstacle to understand or to read homeopathy? I have throughout my learning this homeopathic philosophy, I came to understand that this organon was written 200 years ago. Okay. Until and unless we don't understand the time frame of Hahnemann was living in, until and unless we don't understand in which time frame and what was the process of thinking of people then and there, we cannot easily comprehend this homeopathic philosophy. Let me give you a presentation regarding Hahnemann's life. One of the necessities to understand this organon of medicine, one of the necessity to understand this organon of medicine is knowing the history of organon of medicine, knowing the time frame Hahnemann was living, okay, knowing the language they were using at that period. Many of you may be surprised that why this fragmenta was written in Latin. Any answer? Why this fragmenta is written in Latin? Any answer? Any answer from your side? Why this fragmenta? What is fragmenta? It is a collection of first 27 drugs proved by Hahnemann and his companion. Why it was written in Latin? Hahnemann's language was German. Okay. Why it was written in Latin? Any answer? Any answer? Next question I will ask you. Why this organon was written in aphoristic style, aphorisms, instead of going through a simple plain book, the book we are used to read, instead of going through in that pattern, why the organon was written in aphoristic style? It would have been much easier to follow. Aphoristic style was followed. Instead of that, a simple frame, a simple book was, if it was a simple book format, it was easier to follow for us. Why it was written in aphoristic style? Aphorisms are there. Why it is? Any answer? Any answer? So the answer to the first question, the fragmenta was written in Latin, is that Latin was the court language. Hahnemann was at that time want to impress his new method, new mode of treatment to the elite, so that he can easily propagate his homeopathic philosophy. Okay? Number two, the aphoristic style of aphorism. Hahnemann wanted his organon of medicine to be the basic doctrine. Okay, the basic doctrine of homeopathic philosophy, like of Aristotle, like of Francis Bacon of his time. This is why this aphoristic style, each aphorism is a subject in itself. If you follow the aphorism, each aphorism is dealing with a single topic. You can put one aphorism, take one aphorism and narrate the whole story. Like the aphorism number one, aphorism number two, dealing with the ideal cure. Aphorism number three, dealing with the knowledge of physician, prerequisite knowledge of the physician. That is why this aphoristic style was followed. Okay. And one thing I came to understand, if you know the different time frame of Hahnemann, different time frame of Hahnemann's time, and how this organon of medicine evaluated throughout the time period. Hahnemann revised his organon of medicine for 6 times. Okay, for 6 times. And what was the period? In which period it was? Which doctrine was included? You will see that theory of chronic diseases was not there in first edition. Theory of chronic diseases included in which edition? Theory of chronic diseases included in which edition? Anyone? Theory of chronic diseases included in which edition? Anyone? So we will refresh our knowledge, basic knowledge of organon also throughout our course. This was in 4th edition. Okay, 1829. Okay, and Hahnemann was living in Cothen. Cothen is a town in Germany. This part is very interesting if you listen carefully. That Hughes is one of the homeopathic physician, homeopathic philosopher. Richard Hughes. Okay, have you heard of him? Have you heard of him? Richard Hughes? Have you heard of him?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Hughes was of opinion that during Cothen period, first of all, let me present. I don't understand whether you are getting all these or not. First, let me present you a video about Hahnemann's life. Okay, then I will tell you why it is necessary. Means, make things easy. I will share this. A minute. Now this was a small presentation regarding life of Hahnemann. Okay, and how this is included, how this life of Hahnemann included with the evaluation of homeopathic philosophy, evolution of homeopathic philosophy. All doesn't come at once. Okay, can you hear me properly? Can you hear me properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all doesn't come at once. Okay, if you follow this step by step understanding of Hahnemann's development of philosophy, you will be interested according to the time frame. You will get yourself interest in this study. You will know that when Hahnemann was in Leipzig and what he was doing. Two times Hahnemann visited Leipzig as a student and next as a teacher when he was propagating his homeopathy in the University of Leipzig, all of you know. And during that period, whatever comes in organon of medicine are more scientific, more towards scientific nature. Okay. And during Cothen period, when Hahnemann was in isolation, whatever comes in homeopathy was more towards philosophy, was more towards this metaphysics. Okay, and Hughes was of opinion that in Cothen period, Hahnemann whatever have wrote, vital force, theory of vital force, when it came, when it incorporated in organon of medicine, theory of vital force, when it was incorporated, anyone? All does not come at once. Okay, step by step develop, and if you trace back step by step, it will be easier and more interesting for us. It will be easier and more interesting for us. Follow me? Following me? So when this theory of vital force came or incorporated in this organon of medicine, it was in 5th edition, that is in 1833. Theory of vital force, dealing with the spiritual nature of disease, dealing with the dynamic nature of disease and dynamic nature of cure. When this theory of chronic diseases was included, theory of chronic diseases was included in 1829. And where Hahnemann was living? Hahnemann was living at that period of time in isolation in Cothen. And bulk of the homeopathy, bulk of the philosophy of homeopathy was designed or incorporated up to 3rd edition, and more scientific part of the homeopathy was during the period of Leipzig, when Hahnemann was staying at Leipzig. Okay, so you can divide Hahnemann's life in according to organon of medicine and according to new theory, new things which were included or incorporated in organon of medicine, and it will be more interesting. So this will be our method. First, we will trace back Hahnemann's life toward this along with developments. Are you following? This is the Hahnemann. There was a call which I have to attend. There are many calls I will receive as I am taking it in mobile, so I have to receive the call also. So I was telling that the Hahnemann's timeline, Hahnemann's life timeline in from birth to death, from Meissen to Paris, and Hahnemann's philosophy, development of his philosophy. If you can able to trace it, if you can follow this timeline, it will be easier to follow organon of medicine. Okay, let me give you an example from translator's preface. Okay, and next our mode of discussion will be reading, studying. I will ask someone of you, one of you, to volunteer himself to study the paragraph. We will study each and every line of philosophy which we feel necessary. Okay, and then we'll add commentary to that, will add notes to that in the margin, in the notebook. Okay, this will be our mode of uh, discussion. This is our mode of discussion which we will follow. We have to beside us those books of philosophy, Organon of Medicine, Stuart Close, Robert's philosophy, Kent's philosophy, along with Richard Hughes' philosophy, two books on Hahnemann's life. I will share with you in the group two books on Hahnemann's life, Ecce by Burnett and Hahnemann as a medical philosopher by Richard Hughes. These two books, choti books, patla book hai. The minimum 100 or 120 pages are there. And beside these books, there are heavy books are there, that Life and Letters of Hahnemann, Life and Times of Hahnemann by Richard Hell and T.L. Bradford. Those are the books of higher study. But at least these two books you have to follow. Number one, Ecce by Burnett. I will share it in your group. Number two, Richard Hughes' book, Hahnemann as a medical philosopher. These two books you should be having with you, and those books of philosophy of Richard Hughes and Allen's Keynote with you. Time to time we will refer clinical tips and clinical medicine as we are going through. We will try and correlate Hahnemann's time period with the evolution of homeopathic philosophy. Next, we will try and correlate this modern practice of medicine. You say that homeopathic philosophy are of olden days, only old things are there. We cannot correlate in our modern time, but no, we can correlate these things in our time also. Okay, so time to time we will discuss homeopathic philosophy along with our modern days therapy, modern days medicine, and clinical tips and practical clinical applications of philosophy in our day-to-day practice. Okay, so the example I want to give you how beautifully Dajan is telling us. Okay, what is appendix? What is appendix in Organon of Medicine? Appendix is tracing back the evolution of Organon of Medicine throughout the Hahnemann's life. What was going on in Hahnemann's mind? Okay, if you read translator preface, and Dajan have beautifully explained this. Okay, if I am a bit faster, if you are not getting me, please interrupt. I will repeat. Okay, I am there to make you understand, not to give you lecture. Our class should be a two-way discussion. Okay, so if I am a bit faster, you are not getting me, please let me know. I will again explain that thing, again explain the point. Okay, so this is the thing, this is the mode of discussion we will follow. So the translator's preface, open translator's preface, open translator's preface. I will ask you to open these things. Okay, Organon of Medicine, translator's preface, 5th edition. 5th edition. 5th edition. Now go to the last line of the first paragraph. Last line of the first paragraph. You will find it is written appendix gives a, found it? Appendix gives a detailed history of origin, growth, and progress of homeopathic system of medicine. Found it, everyone? Found it? Okay. Appendix gives a detailed history of origin, growth, and progress of homeopathic system of medicine in the mind of its author. Okay, if you can know the mind of its author, you will easily understand the thing what is written in the book. Okay, I often ask my students to understand the mind of the examiner to get the question. What question may be asked? Understand the mind of the examiner. So to understand the homeopathic philosophy, understand the mind of Hahnemann. Let me tell you, in 1883, Hahnemann abolished practice. His practice of modern allopathic medicine. In 1883, Hahnemann abolished allopathic practice. What was going on in his mind? What was going on in his mind? That first step, dissatisfaction with the mode of practice. Why he abolished his practice? Why he left out his practice? Because of dissatisfaction that it is not going to help. It is not going to help the sick humanity. The first step toward homeopathy. Okay. After that, what Hahnemann was doing for next 7 to 9 years. Okay. 1783, he left out the practice. After that, 7 to 9 years, he was searching for the better thing. Okay, a desire for doing better was there in Hahnemann's mind, a desire to do better for humanity. Okay, we say that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When there is desire to learn, you will get your teacher. And Hahnemann got his teacher in form of those books he was reading. And ultimately, he translated Cullen's Materia Medica in 1790. Okay? In 1790, Hahnemann translated Cullen's Materia Medica. The famous Cinchona incident occurs to him. He found that cinchona is curing curing fevers, malarial fevers, because of its similarity. Okay, because of its similarity. After that, what was going in his mind? He don't rush to publish it. 1790. After that, he don't rush to publish it. Eureka, eureka! I got the thing. I got the thing. He don't went to rush to publish things. He experiment for next 6 years, and in 1796 he published his this essay on a new principle. Okay, till then Hahnemann was using crude medicine to treat his similar cases, and he got in 1897 this homeopathic aggravation. First homeopathic aggravation. What is homeopathic aggravation? Homeopathic aggravation is a part of homeopathic philosophy. You need to understand, and if you know the history behind this homeopathic aggravation, you will be easily understand. You will be understanding this easily. Okay. In 1797, he prescribed a veratrum album in crude form to one of his patients, colicodynia, some pain. Okay, he prescribed veratrum album for colic. Okay, and he got that patient mistakenly taken 4 to 5 drams. Okay, instead of 2 drams, patient was taking 4 drams a day and got a severe aggravation. Okay, in 1797. Then there was a time when Hahnemann shifted from crude drug to potentized, smaller medicine. One of the theory 7 cardinal principle is minimum dose. Okay, first was similar, second was single, next was minimum, and how this minimum was incorporated. What was the quantity of cinchona Hahnemann took for himself? It was 4 drams a day. Okay, but how it got reduced? how it came to minimum, why Hahnemann left his crude practice, okay, how it came to minimum. If you know the history behind it, if you know the story behind it, it will be easier for you to understand the homeopathic aggravation clearly. What is theory of vital force? What is theory of chronic disease? If you know the story behind, what is theory of single disease, single dose, only one medicine at a time. If you know the story behind, if you can trace the timeline of Hahnemann's life with the development of philosophy, it will be easier for you to understand. And this is what we will do in next class or next 1 or 2 class. We will trace back our master's Hahnemann's timeline with the evolution of homeopathic philosophy, so that it will be easier for us. Clear? It will be much easier if we will try and focus on timeline and development of homeopathic philosophy. Next obstacle we encounter, that was the first part. We don't know the temperament of that time. Okay, we don't know the temperament, the language, the mode of, means what language they were using at that time. We don't know. O tempora, O moris. In which sense this O tempora, O moris was used by Hahnemann? By the way, where it is used in text? Anyone can answer? Anyone? O tempora, O moris. In which aphorism or in which footnote it was used by Hahnemann? Anyone? What does this phrase mean? You will encounter these phrases throughout. O tempora, O moris, like phrases, which are Greek, which are foreign to us. We don't know. You will encounter this in aphorism number 267 footnote, which means O the time, O the people. And there is a story behind. We will discuss it later on. Okay. So these are the phrases, and the language of Organon is quite difficult. Why? Because if you follow the aphorism, it is a complex sentence. It is a complex sentence. Okay? And most of the philosophers after that, homeopathic philosophy written after that, are following same mode of discussion, a complex sentence. Even one aphorism you will get single sentence, one long paragraph containing a single sentence. Okay, open aphorism number 29, you will get this long paragraph. Aphorism number 29, this long paragraph is a single sentence. Okay, aphorism number 2, if you open aphorism number 2, this is also a single aphorism and a single sentence. See, you will means crave for the full stop. Up to full stop aa jaye, but there is no full stop until the aphorism ends. Aphorism number 3, a single sentence. You will find a single sentence with a single full stop. So how to deal with these? How to deal with these? Let me give you an example here. Aphorism number 2, what it is dealing with, how simple we will make it. How simple we will make it to understand for our purpose. We will take aphorism number 2 as our example. What is written there in aphorism number 2? The understanding. What is the understanding in aphorism number 2? What is the genesis of aphorism number 2? What is written there? Anyone? Can you give some heading to aphorism number 2? Anyone? Anyone? I've already told that this will be, yes. What is there in aphorism number 2?
Highest ideal of fluid is rapid.
Okay, just in single sentence, if you 2-3 words, you have told that definition of ideal cure. What is ideal cure? Okay, This is in aphorism number 2. Now, the highest ideal of cure, you will underline this. This will, what will be it? Rapid. It will be rapid. It will be gentle. It will be permanent. Okay. It will be shortest, reliable and harmless way, and comprehensive principle. These are the 2-3 words, jingle of 2-3 words. If we will explain these words. By rapid, what you mean? By rapid, what you mean? What do you mean by rapid? What do you mean by rapid? What do you mean by rapid? Anyone? Tell me. What do you mean by rapid? Just rapid. What rapid? English word rapid. What do you mean by this? Anyone? You can type. You can write here in the chat box. I'm following the chat box also. What do you mean by rapid? No. Rapid means quickly. Okay. In shorter period of time. Now explain me from practical example. I am giving you a practical example of rapid. Okay. This way you have to understand. We have read aphorism number 2. We will now give a practical example in order to try and understand. Okay. Let me give you an example and ask you a question. A patient suffering from a migraine came to you for treatment. For suffering from migraine for how long duration? He was suffering from migraine headache for 3 years. Okay. He came to you and you treated a patient. I am repeating this. A patient comes to you. We are telling about rapid. A patient comes to you and suffering from headache, suffering from migraine, clear, for 3 years. And you treated him for 6 months. Okay. And the patient got rid of his migraine. Okay. Was it rapid? Was it rapid? Come on, tell me. Was it rapid?
Yes,
Anyone?
sir.
How? How it was rapid? We are telling the definition, meaning of rapid is quickly. We are telling that it should be quickly. So you have taken 6 months time to cure your patient. Why it was rapid? If no, then it was not an ideal cure. You should be blamed of not following the ideal cure. So this is the difficulty with philosophy. Okay, we are not understanding in exact meaning. What is rapid meaning here? That now defend, Trisha. Now defend your opinion. It was rapid. Now defend it. Defend it. It was rapid. I accept that. Yes, it was rapid. How? 6 month time you have taken and you are telling that it was rapid. How?
Cure.
Tell me. How?
It is permanent cure.
Permanent cure. But it is not rapid. It is not rapid. Is it not? 6 months you have taken. Now please go to aphorism number 149. Aphorism number 149. Open it. Aphorism number 149. Now read
Fifth
from the
edition.
fifth edition. Now read from this third line. Read from third line. Read from third line. Everyone should have book with him. The Organ of Medicine, the Philosophy, Allen's Keynote, Knowledge of Physician, Ecumedicus. I will send you the soft copy. No need to buy it. Richard Hughes, Hahnemann as a medical philosopher. No need to buy it. I will send you a copy of it. And Knowledge of Physician. You need to buy it. Knowledge of Physician. Please buy it. If it's not available, please have it and Xerox copy. Knowledge of Physician and Richard Hughes Philosophy. Those are very interesting and very necessary to understand homeopathic philosophy. Now come to our example. We are giving examples with the term rapid. We have chosen a term rapid and explaining that. Aphorism number 149. Read it. Anirban, you are reading it. Please read it.
From the third line, sir. Grave
from the third
character
line.
attended.
Yes.
Grave character and attended by many sufferings subsides insensibly in a few hours if it be of recent date, in a few days if it be of somewhat longer standing, along with all traces of indisposition and
Underline this.
nothing.
Underline this. Few hours it be if it be of recent date, few days if it of somewhat longer standing. Now come to third line from that. Long standing, diseases of long standing, I am reading it. Diseases of long standing requires for their cure a proportionately longer time. Underline this. Diseases of long standing requires, there is something in bracket, we are skipping that. Diseases of long standing requires for their cure a proportionately longer time. Okay. So rapid here was a relative term. It will depend on the duration of disease. Clear? Rapid was a relative term. What Trisha have told that this 6 month time was enough, was also rapid. But yes, it was rapid, but relatively according to duration of disease. Diseases which are standing for longer duration, you need a longer time and still it is rapid. For 6-year disease, if you are treating in 6 months, yes, you are on the path of ideal cure. Okay. So this way we will break each aphorism and discuss. We will break each aphorism in certain words and discuss for our understanding. And we will give some examples from philosophy and practical and their practical application. This will be our mode of discussion. Next thing I want to tell you that these lectures will be in video form. Okay. And if it is in video form, it will be recorded online. Otherwise, it will not be recorded. If you want to consume, if you want to save your data, there is an option to run the lecture in audio form also. You may switch on to your audio form and listen to the lecture, but I have to be in video so that it can be recorded for those who are not able to catch up this live class. Okay, clear? Now in this, our first agenda of study will be, we will be in our next class, we will be following some part of Ecumedicus and Hahnemann as a philosopher, medical philosopher from Richard Hughes. This will be our agenda. I will share the book of Ecumedicus in the group and medical Hahnemann's medical philosopher, Hahnemann as a medical philosopher in the group. In next class, we will discuss from those books. Okay, and from next onward, we will straightforward go to the construction, go to the anatomy of the organon of medicine and those editions, and how many prefaces are there, and what are the importance of each prefaces, and what are the peculiarities of each edition. Okay, that will be needed not only for understanding and comprehending of this homeopathic philosophy, but also for your different examinations also, different MCQ examination also. Okay, we will and next we will share Borik's 6th edition preface. There is you will find in this book 5-6 preface of organon written by Hahnemann, one translator's preface by Dudgeon, but Borik have also translated the 6th edition, and that is missing. I will share that Borik's 6th edition translation, and you will get ample of information there how the 6th edition came into being. The history of 6th edition is also needed to some extent in order to understand easily the organon of medicine. So we will compact our discussion of organon starting from the history of evolution. Today we have just given some examples of our mode of teaching, mode of discussion. Number one, this mode of discussion will be Hippocratic. That means the two-way lecture. Okay, we will discuss. This will not be of one way. You can ask me, discuss with me. Okay, one of the obstacles in philosophy was that which we have followed during our student days. It was forced on us like a stigma, like a dogma. Yes, this is, and you have to accept this. Okay, without any rationality. But you can ask me. No one can dare in our classroom to utter that yes, there is fourth miasm also, there is fifth miasm also, there are more than five miasm also. No, you can ask me that, sir, why we cannot say that there is 5 miasm or 6 miasm or 27 miasm. Why we cannot? We will openly discuss and come to and narrow down our idea of philosophy, and whether we have to accept it or reject it. It will be decided in the class. Let us accept or reject. It is useful or not. In this present scenario, this aphorism is useful or not. Okay, whether they are following in modern medicine, in many places you will see in introduction that Hahnemann is abusing rashly to the modern allopathic physicians, allopathic mode of treatment. But nowadays these treatments are abandoned and not being used. Okay, so in present scenario, those paragraphs of introduction, those paragraphs of aphorism stand nullified because they have rectified themselves. Now I want you to underline one term in Dudgeon's preface. Open Dudgeon's preface. Open Dudgeon's translator preface. Translator preface. Open Dudgeon's translator's preface. Last third from last third paragraph, third line, you will get a term, negative good effect of homeopathy. You will get a term there, negative good effect of homeopathy. Got it? Dudgeon's translation. Third paragraph, नीचे से third line. From last, this third line, you will get a term, negative good effect of homeopathy. Got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what? What do you mean by this? This is what is negative good effect of homeopathy? This is means at time of Hahnemann, what was being practiced like leaching, cupping, those harsh crude treatment, those during the Duggan's time have been totally discarded. Okay, and nowadays during our time the modern medicines are more sophisticated and more toward rationality. Still there are irrationality present there, but more toward rationality modern medicines are. So why to criticize them with this old notion that they are doing this and that? So we have to accept the good in them. Okay, so we have to accept these negative good effect of homeopathy. Let me give you a practical example. Previously, when suppose 70 years back, if someone was having ascites, as what is ascites? Fluid in the peritoneal cavity. What was the rational cure of that time? They will say that tap out the fluid and it will be, the disease will be okay. Was it correct? Was it correct?
No, sir.
No, because we know it was the product of disease, not the disease itself. Clear? Now come back to our time. Come back to our time. What they were telling 70 years back, they were telling that remove the disease and the disease will be cured. But come back to our time, the modern time. Whole philosophy of Tolecosm based on this. We will discuss it later in when we will be discussing our introduction. Now come back to our time. Any modern physician will not tell you that removing the ascites is the cure. Any physician will tell you no. They have reached to somewhere upside kidney or the heart. They are telling that no, this is the heart which is diseased, this is the kidney which is diseased. After 70 years, they have come to this understanding what we were having then. But we should thank them now that yes, you have reached up to this position. Okay, and now what are our understanding? Should we tell that, are we telling that this is kidney which is diseased? No, we are able to see beyond kidney. We are able to see beyond kidney. I hope you are getting me. Getting me? They have reached up to kidney, but we as a homeopath can see the disease beyond kidney. Previously, they were treating the fluid. Now they are treating the kidney. They are treating the heart. But with our homeopathic philosophy, we were treating at that time also the person itself, and now also the person itself. Okay, our mode of treatment have not changed because it has got a solid foundation. Because it has got a solid foundation of homeopathic philosophy. Still, we have to thank them that they have reached up to kidney. They have reached up to heart. It is not the fluid. They are telling that fluid is the disease product now. But we were telling from that period and now also that this kidney is not disease. There is something beyond that. And this is homeopathic philosophy. And this is you want to understand. You need to understand to practice as a homeopath. Okay. This is the negative general effect of homeopathy. In future, if we are going with this solid foundation, I am saying, the solid foundation, not mere, not this means na idhar ke na udhar ke amphibian type, आधा allopathy, आधा homeopathy, not that. You have to base your understanding of disease. Their understanding of disease gradually shifting toward inside. They have reached to kidney or heart, and one day in future they may reach where we are already standing. Okay, this is homeopathic philosophy. Okay, so this was all about negative general effect of. We will encounter these sort of terms during whole course, and we will give practical examples to understand, to engrave this homeopathic philosophy in ourselves, to grow as a homeopath, not a mere doctor, not a mere medical doctor, but as a homeopath, so we can get a confidence to practice in homeopathy. What we will do in our course, we will try and engrave our solid foundation on which we will base. This is painful to study each and every sentence. Each and every sentence is painful, a bit tough, a bit hard work. But Hahnemann has already said what I have shared with you today morning in the group, that is nothing but the preface to first edition. We will end after reading that, and we will make that our this motto of our course. Motto of our course, preface to first edition. Please read the last paragraph. Please read the last paragraph. That was the preface of first edition. The last paragraph. Please read it. Please go through it. Preface to first edition, Organon of Medicine. We will end there, and we will make it a motto. একটু পরিশ্রম লাগবে পড়ার জন্য, ঠিক আছে? थोड़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी.
Sir, altar of
Give
truth
me-
means
No, that altar of truth ছেড়ে দাও. We will discuss those terminologies. Okay, I want you to read this last paragraph. First sentence. I must warn the reader that indolence, love of ease, and obstinacy preclude effective service at altar of truth. Altar of truth is you have asked from this only. Altar of truth is means highest table which you find in church for sacrifice. Okay, we will discuss these terminologies later on. Altar of truth is highest table of sacrifice. So highest table of truth. Okay, that is something philosophical. And only freedom from prejudice and untiring zeal qualify for the most sacred of all human occupation, the practice of true system of medicine. This one sentence will be our motto. Altar of truth is a table in which the sacrifices are made. Okay, in church it is you will find in church those type of table, but Hahnemann have used in a sacred sense. This practice of medicine are of sacred nature, and indolence means laziness, love of ease. একটু পড়লেই হয়ে যাবে, নোটবুক পড়লেই হয়ে যাবে. No, you have to go to the in search of source of this knowledge. Okay, you have to go, you have to do a bit hard work, and I am promising you, if you are giving me 1 hour of your attention, 1 hour of your attention every day for 4 weeks a day, for 3 months, 4 days a week, for 3 months, you will be finding yourself a better homeopath who can practice more perfectly as a homeopath, who can practice them on much more than what they are offering in this RBSK jobs or these kind of menial jobs. Okay, you can practice with prestige as a doctor in your community. You will get name, fame, and respect. But if you have a solid foundation of homeopathic philosophy, until now you must have understood that whether it is for those who are willing to grow themselves as a homeopath, as a clinical practice, or for those who need some shortcut to success in other fields. If you want to go for research, this course is not for you. If you want to go for any other menial jobs or any other management jobs, these classes are not for you. These classes are only for those willing students who are willing to develop themselves as a homeopath, who want to practice as a homeopath. Okay, any question you are having throughout, means in this, what we have discussed haphazardly something from here and there. Any question, if you want to discuss again any topic you have not understood, tell me, we will discuss it again. Anyone? You can ask me anything. Apart from this course, apart from our knowledge, means apart from our class, you can ask me anything. In next 5 minute time, we will try and answer those questions.
Sir,
Bolo. Tell me.
sir, uh, sir, can you please little bit explain the alternating action?
Alternating action. Can I explain alternating action? Well, this is a huge topic, alternating action. Okay, we will discuss during our course. It will be discussed again and again. Okay, anything, we will discuss it. It will be very clear to you. Alternating actions are, remember, just one thing, alternating actions are paroxysm of the primary action which bear a relation of opposite, like constipation and diarrhea. Alternating action, these are alternating action. Constipation and headache, this is alternating symptoms. Okay, this is not alternating action. Alternating action is exactly opposite primary action, paroxysm of primary action. If you open aphorism number 116 and 117, you will find it. Aphorism number 116, open aphorism number 116. Open, yes, sir, aphorism number 116. Okay, open, please open. Let us discuss here. Sorry, aphorism number, this 115. Aphorism number 115. Again, you will find a single sentence here. Whole aphorism is a single sentence. Now, underline those words I am asking you to underline. Underline symptoms. Now, underline which are partially or under certain conditions directly opposite to other symptoms. Or next, underline alternating state of various paroxysm of primary action. Now read only those which are underlined here. Read. Read it. Now read loudly.
Symptoms which are partially directly opposite to other symptoms, act alternating state of various paroxysm of primary action.
Okay, represent, underline also represent. Represent the alternating state of various paroxysm of primary action. Now the practical utility of this alternating action. Practical utility of this alternate, this is a quite big topic. I have to deal with many aphorisms with this. Open aphorism number 250. 251. Aphorism number 251. Open aphorism number 251. There are certain medicines in which these are. If you are getting a person of brainia, case of brainia, which is thirstless, all of us know that brainia is thirsty. Brainia is a thirsty medicine, is it not? If you are getting a case of brainia which is thirstless, will you prescribe brainia or not? By your knowledge of alternating action, there are exactly opposite primary actions are present. You can prescribe brainia. Number one utility, even if brainia is thirstless, we know by this aphorism that ignitia, brainia, russtox and belladonna are the medicines which are having alternating action. So even if thirstless, you can prescribe brainia. Number one utility. Number two, you have prescribed your medicine but no change in symptom, and you know that this medicine is causing alternating action. So what Hahnemann have advised here, last line of this aphorism, a fresh and equally small dose of same medicine. A fresh and equally small dose of same medicine. This is the repetition of dose. Okay, difference समझ में आया? What is alternating symptom and what is alternating action? Alternating symptom, there may be opposite or not, maybe not, but alternating action, exactly opposite symptoms are present. Clear? 251. Now open aphorism number 67, footnote. Aphorism number 67, footnote. Second line, second paragraph, footnote, second paragraph. The first footnote is famous for its this antipathy, use of antipathy. Second paragraph, read the second paragraph a bit loudly, a bit loudly. Read it.
Yes, sir. It does not follow that a homeopathic medicine has been ill-selected for a case of disease because some of the medicinal symptoms are only antipathic to some of the less important and minor symptoms of the disease. If
Underline this.
only
Antipathic.
the
बस
other
इतना ही पढ़ना है. This is enough for our discussion. Underline this. Antipathic. Now, if in a case you are finding that I have given brainia, you all know that brainia is a medicine for this thirstlessness. Again, same example I am giving. I am giving a medicine, leave brainia. I am giving a medicine for thirst. All symptoms are present of that medicine, and the medicine is thirsty. We know that in fact the patient was thirstless, and still we have given.
Sir, you are not audible. Hello, sir, you are not audible.
To receive. So, give me two possible examples here. Two possible explanation for this. Even
What, sir?
I have. हाँ.
सर आवाज नहीं आ रहा था तो सुन नहीं पाया.
Okay. First I was telling. First I was telling that this I have given a medicine which is thirsty. Okay. I have given a medicine which is thirsty, and my patient was cured. in spite of his thirstlessness. The symptom was exactly opposite to the medicine I prescribed. Okay? The symptom was exactly opposite to the medicine I prescribed. Two possible explanation for this. I need two possible explanation for this.
Means, sir, let us take the example of Bryonia only. Bryonia is a thirsty medicine, but we have prescribed Bryonia in spite of his thirstlessness. Okay.
Okay.
Sir, one explanation is, we know that Bryonia in its initial stage is thirstless.
Not in initiative stage, छोड़ दो. One correct explanation will be Bryonia has both the condition. Bryonia is an alternating. Bryonia is having alternating action. Is it not? That is what we have discussed.
Yes, sir.
In 251. Number one explanation.
Yes, sir.
Bryonia has alternating action. Okay. Number two explanation.
Number, you said don't know, sir.
Number two is this footnote. Accidental symptoms. They are accidental symptoms of minor character. They are accidental. Even if the opposite symptoms are present and your medicine is working, be sure that these symptoms were of minor character and accidental in nature. Okay. So these were alternating action we have discussed. We took 15 minutes for that. 1 hour and 15 minutes is too much for an organon class. आपको अगर पढ़ने में अच्छा लगता है तो मुझे पढ़ाने में अच्छा लगता है, but not for everyone. We have to give slow doses of homeopathic philosophy, not more than, I will not bother you more than 1 hour. Every day for 4 days a week, 1 hour. Give me your full attention with your books, with your highlighters, with your pen. Sit and we will discuss, we will study, understand and apply. Okay? Anyone having any further questions, ask me anything apart from this course also. You can ask me. Anyone want to leave? He or she may leave. The class is over. You can ask me anything for the next 5 minutes. I will try to answer it. Anyone? No. So we are ending here with a good note and the motto, the last paragraph of the first edition. Read that again and again and be prepared to work hard with me, and you will, along with me, we will grow together as a better homeopath in next 3 months. Okay? Have a good day. Thank you for giving me your undivided attention. At least I hope for that.